friends, it's Valerie. Welcome back to this week's What's for Dinner. If you are new here, I would love if you would hit that subscribe button and join my YouTube family. And don't forget to leave a like or a comment down below because it really does help my channel. This week's What's for Dinner, I've got some new meals for you. Two of them are some new favorites. I thought there was only going to be one favorite for the week, and it was these Greek meatballs. They were delicious. I loved them so much. Definitely my type of meal. But then I ended up making like roast beef like dip biscuits. Those were also really delicious and I enjoyed those a lot. Much quicker of a meal than the meatballs were. The meatballs take a little more time, but definitely worth it. Anyways, let's just get started. For 4th of July, we just got some easy things. I got some fried chicken from the deli at the grocery store, and the same thing with the broccoli salad, and then just like the potato wedges. And then I just served this with a side of watermelon, and it was all really delicious. I'm starting this off with about 2.5 cups of cooked and shredded chicken. You can use rotisserie chicken, whatever works best for you. Then you'll need some creamy green enchilada sauce. I'm actually using the recipe from the La Victoria site for this, and I'm adding half a cup of the enchilada sauce, and then I'm gonna add in a 4-ounce can of green chilies, as well as some Monterey Jack and some mozzarella cheese, about a half a cup of each to start off with, and then just give that all a good mix together to incorporate all those ingredients. Then I completely forgot to hit record on this step, but I went ahead and steamed my 10 tortillas in the microwave for just a moment, like 30 seconds, so they can become pliable. And then the recipe recommends adding a 1/4 cup of the chicken mixture to them and then rolling them up. I just kind of eyed that to what I felt like would fit inside of them without overstuffing them, and I placed them in the bottom of a 9x13 baking dish with the seam side down. Any remaining sauce that I had, I poured that on top of them. And then I'm topping them with a 1/4 cup of each of the remaining cheeses of Monterey Jack and mozzarella cheese. Now the recipe says to bake at 350 degrees for 40 to 45 minutes. I checked it at 40. This is what it looked like. A little bit more brown than I would have liked. So I definitely would check that at about 30 minutes. My oven does run hot, so keep that in mind. And then I just serve this up with some cilantro lime rice. I have made that in the past, so I will leave a link to a video with that in the description box down below. But overall, this was a very delicious meal. I'm used to having enchilada sauce. It's not creamy, but I really enjoyed the creaminess of this as well. And it's not pictured here, but I did add some sour cream on the top afterwards, after I'd taken this photo, and it did add additional creaminess, but I really love sour cream on top of my enchiladas. I really think it just gives it a good flavor that I really enjoy. I'm starting this off by taking a large bowl, and to that I've added a pound of ground beef. Now my ground beef I believe was 85/15, so it worked for me. I'm just going to point that out now because the recipe does recommend like a 75-25% ground beef, but I only had the 85/15. So I have that with a half a pound of ground lamb added to this. It says you could add pork as well, and then I'm also adding in a 1/4 cup of finely diced yellow onion. I didn't have any fresh garlic, so I'm just adding some of this squeeze kind that I have, the equivalent to about 3 cloves of garlic, a half a cup of panko breadcrumbs, 1 egg, and then a half a cup of crumbled feta cheese. Now my feta still had very large clumps in it, so I did choose to kind of take that through my fingers and break it up a bit to become a little more fine so it can be spread out through all the meatballs better. And then a half a cup of finely chopped parsley, 1 teaspoon dried oregano, a half a teaspoon ground cumin, and then the zest. I did the zest of 1 lemon, which ended up being close to 1 teaspoon's worth of the lemon zest, a teaspoon of salt, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. And then I'm just using my hands to just mix this all together. You're just going to mix it till all the ingredients seem like well incorporated. There won't be like anything really sticking to the bowl. It should all like clump to the meat, and then just don't overwork it though. And then I'm going to form the meat mixture into the meatballs. It is recommended in the recipe to use 1 tablespoon to make the meatball size. I kind of used it for a moment just as a guide so I could start a couple and kind of like eye it after that. So that's exactly what I did. I just kind of pinched off. I did gradually start to get a little bit bigger, but I did cut that, like realize and start to fix that a little bit. I wanted them to be pretty much equal in size so that they fry up at an equal rate. And once I did that, I went ahead and just added some oil to a large skillet. Now it doesn't say how much, I just kind of filled the bottom with some oil, and I'm going to place the meatballs in there. I'm doing this in batches in my one skillet. You can do this in several batches. You could probably even just find a way to bake these as well if that's your preference. I prefer them fried. I just think that the flavor is way better. And I'm browning each of those sides. So in total, the meatballs, each batch is cooking for about 10 minutes. So a couple minutes each side, like turning it, every couple minutes so that all sides get browned. That worked well for me. And they were nice and juicy still. I'd say that if you left them much longer, they are going to dry out a bit. And then again, I am using a lower fat meat, and it still worked out for me. And then I have some mini naan bread. I took some hummus, some garlic hummus, and I spread that, a layer of that on there. Typically something like this I would love tzatziki with, but I already had hummus I need to use up, so it was perfect for that. And then I just cut up some cucumbers and tomatoes to go along with that. And I served this with some extra feta on top, and I made some rice-a-roni rice pilaf to go on the side with it. That was a great compliment to the dish. Also, a cilantro lime rice would be a great addition to it as well if that's a recipe that you enjoy of mine. And wow, I can't say enough how much I really, really love these meatballs. Now, if you know me, you know that I love Greek food or any type of Mediterranean food. Like, those fresh flavors really are it for me. But it was the addition of the lamb to these meatballs. It really brought out some great flavor in that. And it's giving me some ideas to make something else for you guys. But yeah, I'm just going to rave on and on about this. So I'm just going to stop here because it was so good. This is one of our favorite go-to freezer meals. So both of us love pot pies, but the Marie Callender ones are super good. Their crust is delicious. So I just made that up in the oven, threw together a simple like side vegetable with just some cucumbers, tomatoes, and some of the Olive Garden dressing, and that was it, but it was really simple and really good. For this recipe, you're going to need an 8-can count of biscuits. The flaky layers are going to be the easiest for you. Definitely recommend that. And you're going to split each biscuit into a half and place it onto a baking sheet. I line that with parchment paper. I was just trying to have easy cleanup that night. And then you also need a pound of roast beef, like deli roast beef. Now I am doing this differently than the recipe calls for. They have you put the meat and the cheese on and bake it when the biscuit is raw. I chose to pre-bake my biscuits first for 5 minutes at 400 degrees, and then at 5 minutes I pulled them out and I added my provolone cheese on, and I kind of like just folded the cheese in half and like so it would fit better on the biscuit, and I divided my roast beef. Now the roast beef package that I have, it was slightly less than a pound. 1 pound would actually work perfectly for this. I had to kind of move some meat around to make it all work for all 8 biscuits still. And so I kind of like put that on after that 5 minutes of bake time, and then I put them back in the oven for an additional 6 minutes or so, 6 or 7 minutes. In total, I think I baked for about 12 minutes. You'll just kind of watch that. Once your meat gets a little warmed and your cheese melts, you're pretty good on biscuit wise. You'll just either become a little bit golden brown. And then while those were baking, I did make up some au jus gravy mix. Now I'm not making a whole package here because we just never need the whole package, which is why I already had a half a package already opened. And I just use my kitchen scale for that. Since it's a 1 ounce package, I always just use like 0.5 ounces to know that I have a half a pack there, and I mix that with package directions with the cold water and just made that up to dip on the side. And I served this up with some french fries on the side, and then it was the last dying day for that broccoli salad, so I had some of that as well. Put some of the au jus dip, and I don't have it pictured here, but I did use some spicy brown mustard on my little sliders, but because I didn't use the horseradish that it calls for in the recipe. We're just not fans of that, but I do love some spicy brown mustard, and it complemented it very, very well. And let me say, I actually loved these little biscuit beef sliders. They were really delicious. I'm definitely gonna keep these on my list of favorites for quick, simple meals, and also for a meal that I can use biscuits up on, because I love when I find those on the cheap. For this last meal, we went to this place called Great Maple. Look at the food, it's very beautiful. But we got these portobello mushroom fries, and they are so delicious. They were great, very filling though. Once we ate those, I was pretty full and barely made a dent on my chicken sandwich. But we both did get the fried spicy chicken sandwich, and it was very delicious. And it had like coleslaw on it. It was really, really good. And then look at their drinks. They're just so beautiful and presentable. I had to just show you because they're really cute and they tasted amazing. Thanks so much for watching, friends. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that little bell so you don't miss out on any future videos, and I hope you all are having a great day.